Welcome back once again to your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business. Today, you should get a license. This is the podcast for You Should Get a License. I'm your host, Rod Powell. And today we have a special guest that we're talking to, a professional. And there is a difference, and she's going to let y'all know what the difference is. But she's a professional in the financial services industry. She is a $1 Million Roundtable member. We're going to talk about what that means. And she is also an author. Her book is Faith Focused Action, The Journey to Becoming Who You Are. She is helping people, empowering people, making sure that they understand financial education, financial literacy, leveraging life insurance to do that. She's one of the leaders in our space. I want to welcome Miss Chereace Richards. Chereace, how you doing?
I am awesome, Rod. Thank you so much for having me. It truly is an honor to be on your platform. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Absolutely. I was, before we hopped on, I was just sharing that, considering everything that you're doing now, and we've known each other for a while. We haven't talked in a good minute, but it's just so amazing. And I'm just so proud to see everything that you've accomplished and that you're doing in your career. Can you just share a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis? I know you're using, life insurance and you're sharing education. What area and space in the marketplace does Chereace Richards work in on a day-to-day basis?
Yep. So great question. So my primary focus is number one, to educate and empower people who look like me, our community, on how life insurance works and really the benefits of life insurance beyond just a death benefit, right? So when we get into life insurance beyond the death benefit, we're looking at some planning, right? Some retirement planning, some lifestyle planning, some debt elimination planning. So I kind of touch the full spectrum of, life cycle planning as it pertains to life insurance.
So you're taking a holistic approach, saying, hey, look, it's not just like because when people say life insurance, they're thinking about the funeral in most cases. But you're saying, hey, how do we leverage this to really create and sustain generational wealth for our families?
Absolutely. And then one of the first areas that I always like to cover is how much is enough, because a lot of times people are, thinking about life insurance as just a death benefit, making sure I have enough to bury me, right? But when you look at what life insurance is at the core, and that is income replacement, what is it going to take to replace your income, right? And so being able to break it down on that level with individuals, with families. It truly is a blessing for me to be able to make sure people have what they need, not just check the box. I got life insurance,
right?
But making sure it works for them.
Yeah. So when you're saying like income replacement, because you have a family. You have children, someone who has a family, they're working. What does that look like? Like income replacement. Like I've heard people say, okay, well, on my job, I got 2 times my salary, right? Right. You say I got 2 times my salary. Okay. Is that enough? What does income replacement really mean when you're practically looking at someone's life situation?
Right. So another great question. I was just having a conversation with some clients recently, and I said, well, let's look at what it's going to take for you to replace your income. The wife is a stay-at-home mom, the dad is working. So I said for him, if you're the sole breadwinner, if something were to happen to you, let's look at what your wife and your young son is going to need to maintain the same quality of life that you all have today and that you're planning for in the future. So first, do you have a mortgage? Yes, we do. How much is the outstanding mortgage? Okay, let's start there. what's your income, right? And so now your son, I was like, your son he's a baby, right? So, typically it's 10 times your salary in terms of how much you need in the death benefit, but that would only put your son at 11 if something happens to you tomorrow. Like we don't want to think about it, but we see it happening more and more all around us. Like tomorrow is not promised for any of us. So now we got to look at the next 18 years because your son is so young, right? So let's do that salary times 18 years. Let's add it to the outstanding mortgage. And he was doing the math as I was giving him the numbers. And he said, I'm gonna need about $2 million. That's
Boom.
We're setting the expectation.
Hey, that just enough to bury me ain't gonna cut it.
At all. If you truly care about your wife and your son, which I know you do, right? And I said the same thing to the wife, right? Again, you want to make sure that your husband and your young son can stay in the family home.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got to think beyond just a death benefit. We got to think long term when we have this conversation around life insurance.
Absolutely. No, I love that because right now the hot topics are, generational wealth and, especially in our community, right? It's like that's kind of like a hot button, but it's like you can't have generational wealth without a generational mindset. So you have to be thinking about, hey, I know where I want to go. I know where I'm planning to go. But if something happens before I get there, will we still be able to carry out the plan that we set forth? So no,
Right.
I love that. I love the approach that you're taking there. I'm gonna take a pause for a second, and we'll come back, to the industry and what you do as a specialty. But I want to go back to like 9 years old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, Chereace Richards.
Mhm.
What were you dreaming about then? What were you thinking about doing then when you grew up?
You know what? It's so funny. I had always dreamed about being in business for myself. I never knew exactly what that business would be, but I could never see myself working for 40 years, 40 hours a week, only to retire to 40% of my income. Like I'd seen that pattern play out and, my parents and my grandparents, and I just knew that I didn't want that for myself. But I followed the typical pattern, after high school, went to college, got the degree, and even got the master's degree and was in corporate America, climbing that corporate ladder. And then I got exposed to a business opportunity that reminded me of what I said I wanted to do at 9 and 10.
Wow,
Right.
wow. Yeah.
I tell people it's so easy to forget, right? But if you stay, on the grind, learning, growing yourself, remaining open-minded to opportunities that may not look like what you think it should, right? You'll recapture the dream that you have if you find yourself not living it, right? Or getting on the path that you always said that you wanted to be on. Because as long as you're still here, it's never too late to pursue that
Right.
dream.
Always an opportunity. Always an opportunity. Let's,
Right.
speaking about your journey, kind of going to school, getting the degree, going into corporate, having a career there, making the shift. You're Washington D.C. native.
Yeah.
What were your what did your parents do? What were their background?
So my mom was federal government.
Mm-hmm. That's big in
Career.
DC. That's big in
Yep.
DC.
Yep. Yep. And my dad was Air Force career.
Mm. Okay, also military. Okay, so very traditional family with, hey, look, this is what you do. You're going to go to school, you get the job, and your degree was in IT, which is way on the other side from this industry, right?
Yep.
Take me through your career journey. Like, okay, so coming out of school, were you working in college, and you went corporate, you found an opportunity. Like, take me through your career journey.
Yep. So coming out of college, I got that first job that was in my field. Rod, I was making $22,000 a year
Uh-oh.
back in 1993, and you couldn't tell
Shoot.
me nothing. I hit the jackpot. I was like, what? I
Right.
got a job in my field making 22,000. I am rich. And
93.
so,
Hey, for those, listen, for those listening, in 93, that's meant different because gas was like 88 cents a gallon. It was a whole
right,
different world. Yeah.
right. A whole different world. Like these kids coming out of college today, like six figures is nothing for
Yeah.
them. Like I have a son that's getting ready to come out of college. And so some of the opportunities available to him, it just wasn't available to me back in the 90s, right? Starting out. So I got that first job and I've always been driven for more. And
Mhm.
so I'd never stayed on any one job for more than 2 years because I was just out there looking for the next opportunity to grow and to advance. And I touched many aspects of information technology in my career. So I ultimately ended up as an IT project manager
Mhm.
first in corporate, and then I transitioned over into the federal government. So now here I am in my 30s in the federal government, and I was a GS-14, and I had my sights set on climbing the federal government ladder. So GS-15 was on my radar, potentially SES, which is the Senior Executive Service. Like,
Okay.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Now, GS-14, GS-15, now, those who are listening that are in the federal government, they're going to know what that is. But
Mhm.
GS-4, like, where is that at? Like, that's saying, hey, I'm on the trajectory, right?
Yeah.
I'm moving through
Yeah.
the process. Okay.
Six figures, like mid six figures,
Yeah.
like it was successful, right?
Yes.
I had a nice house and, the nice vehicles, kids in private school. Life was good, but I'd always had this desire for something more.
Mm.
And so in 2006, my husband and I were presented with a business opportunity, and it just opened up a whole world of opportunity, possibilities for us. And we ran with it and found ourselves very successful in that industry of it was network marketing,
Yes.
right? Very successful. Again, something very different, right? So IT background, a career in IT,
Yes.
master's degree in IT, and now here I am in this world of sales and marketing that I never even had experience in.
That's a that look, that is a wide scope already. We haven't even gotten to insurance yet, right? So
Right.
IT, private sector, government on the path, you see this new opportunity. You and your husband say, look, we're gonna go in on this and boom, blow it and then blow it up. Now I want you to I want you to expound on something a bit because what I found is that in the insurance and financial services industry and in the network marketing industry, there's a lot of similarities, particularly in personal development, um, in team building, definitely in communication. What are some of the things that you felt came from your experiences in network marketing that you were able to leverage as you started to transition into the insurance world?
Yeah, so I think just being a sponge to learn, right? That's the biggest thing, just learning what I could, recognizing that it's a new industry that I had no experience in. So not taking the success that I had in corporate America and my IT federal government career and even my success in network marketing, don't carry that over here. Like just be a true student of the industry. So I would say a key to my success in any arena has always been to show up, to
Yeah.
be in the room, to be around the successful people because I recognize that success leaves clues. So who are the successful people? Where are they? and be where they are and start building and cultivating those relationships where I could learn, get coached, get mentored by the best in the industry. So I can learn what I needed to learn, and then I could be successful. It's the same thing that I did in my career. It's the same thing I did in network marketing.
Yeah.
And I always train from stage and say, you need to be in the room. Like, it's no excuses if you want to be successful. Like, you got to do the work. There's no excuses.
Listen, if you want to be at the table, you got to be in the room. You know.
There.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying, coachability, has been a big part of your journey and how you've been able to, find success in these different areas. Just being coachable, kind of following the processes, following the systems, and taking that and just applying it. Is that fair to say?
That's it.
So if we say, okay, so you've built this business in the network marketing space, which I'm a fan of, which I think network marketing is a great industry because it has a lot of value that enough people don't give it credit for. Mm-hmm. You're building in that space. What is the determining factor? What's the moment? Like, how do you start to make the transition into insurance and financial services? Like, when does that happen? How and when?
Yep. So how it happened was unexpectedly. So in my journey in network marketing, making millions of dollars, like very successful, top of the compensation plan. And I wanted to get educated on how money worked for myself. Because, in network marketing, you can be up today and down tomorrow. You can be here today and gone tomorrow. And I didn't want that to be our story. And so just being in that coachable mindset, sought out subject matter experts in this arena that could advise me on how to make my money work for us so that we didn't get to the end of our network marketing career and have no money to show for it, have nothing to show for it but stuff. And so I had a very good CPA who introduced me to an agent that he does what I do. He does what I do now.
Right.
And was just educating us on how to leverage life insurance beyond the death benefit. I was like, what? Like, you mean to tell me I can park money inside of a life insurance policy? Nobody can get access to it. It's a way for me to save for retirement, tax-free, build wealth. Like, it blew my mind. And I was like, wait a minute. How come I didn't know about this before? I was a six-figure earner in corporate America. What? How come I didn't know this? Right. And so that experience, it just ignited in me a passion to be able to share this information with other people who look like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is this information not more widely known, right? Because you bring up a good point. Folks who are working in those spaces, I mean, you're talking IT, you got a master's degree. I mean, you're educated person, right? I mean, through 4-year universities, we're talking educated people, but these are pieces of that are just missing, like everywhere. Like, why do you think that is?
I think it has a number of reasons, right? One is I think it's generational, right? I think it's, we do what we saw our parents do. And I think has a lot to do with the communities that we're in, because, 100,000 there can tell you how to make 100,000, but that's it, right? They can't teach you how to make 500,000, because if they did, they would be doing it, right? So going back to what I said before, is success leaves clues. So I think it has a lot to do with the environments that we're in, the communities that we are in. And then I think a lot of times, from a cultural standpoint, we are so skeptical about every doggone thing that's
Right.
not familiar to us, right? And so because it's not familiar, we're like, oh, it's a scam. It doesn't work, right? And I'll be honest, I had some of those same thoughts as well because I'd never heard of it. It was new for me. And this is what I tell people. It's the same thing I did. First of all, you have to do your diligence, right? Like, go do your research, right? And then make sure that you are working with someone that is documented, they're knowledgeable, and they're doing it themselves.
Yeah,
Like, you have to build that trust with your advisor so you feel confident that they can take you down a road that they have traveled down as well.
that's right.
And that's what I had, right? And so I always say this, like, it may be new to me, but that does not mean that it is new information.
Right.
Right.
That's
And so
right.
I'm grateful that, I took that step, and that was back in 2013.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So 2013, you said, hey, look, I'm gonna put these things in place. At what point did you say, okay, hey, I understand it. This is going to be a benefit for me and my family. It's going to be tax-free retirement. We're going to be leveraging this. Boom, we got that. When did you say, you know what? I could do this too, you know?
It took me a while. I always say I'm a slow learner, but I'm a thorough learner. When I
Mm,
get it, I got it. So it took me a little minute because my agent would always say, you need to get licensed. I don't have time for that. Talk to my people is what I
right.
will always. And then about 4 years later, I was like, huh, maybe I should get licensed, at least to be a subject matter expert
Yeah.
and to be that go-to person for my family and my friends.
Yeah.
And that's what I did probably in like 2017, because I've been in for 6 years. So 2017, I decided to get licensed, and I worked with his company for about 2 years, and it was great. Like, he's a very knowledgeable guy,
Mhm.
served as a great mentor, and I just kind of evolved in terms of what I was looking for, who I wanted to work with, how I wanted to position life insurance to my community. And so it kind of led me to where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the other things that's important, when joining this industry is understanding that, let me say one thing first. One, commend you all just for, even though you had achieved some success, you didn't say, okay, we got it all figured out. There's still some things that we can do, because it's one thing to make money, it's another thing to keep money, right? And
Mhm.
continue to grow that money.
Yep.
But going into the industry and saying, hey, look, I can be a resource for my family, I can be a resource for my friends. I think it's important that everyone understands. So if it's someone who is in the business already, or getting ready to enter the industry, understands that where you start isn't necessarily where you finish. You're going to take different paths, you're going to evolve. We met in the worksite world, which is out, because you were licensed when we met, I believe, already, right?
Yeah.
You were already licensed. So he's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll try that piece and see how that works. And like, okay, well, no, maybe that's not my fit. But what's important is, even as you continue to move through, you say, okay, well, I'm gonna get some of that. That's cool. But no, I think there's something else. So maybe let me go here. Can you speak a little bit to what that process is like and what that journey is like? Because I've experienced it. So I'd love to hear your
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. So, as you know, this industry is so big, and there's so many different, directions that you can take,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that being a student of the industry, right, is key to just expose yourself to as much of what the industry has to offer as you possibly can. I still, like, you'll never get to a point where you know everything,
Yeah.
but I think that at a certain point you'll get exposed to enough to where like, okay, this feels good to me right now. right? Because again, I got licensed in 2017. I probably met you in what, 2018, if not 2017.
Yeah, it's like it's end of 17, maybe early 18.
Yeah, yeah. And so
Because
at that
pre-COVID,
moment,
definitely pre-COVID. So, you know.
it was pre-COVID for sure.
Right.
And so, yeah, because what we did, yeah, COVID would have shut all that down,
It
right?
was a wrap.
You know what? I have fond memories on that season in
Yeah.
my life, right? And, it worked for the season that it was in.
Hmm.
And I look back and say, I had that experience. My husband and I, we were just talking about it recently. Some of those late nights at the police station.
Oh yeah, Baltimore PD.
had some fun. I had some fun times, but again, just continuing to grow
Yeah.
and to continue to learn and to explore opportunities, right? When the season was over, it was just over,
Yeah.
right? And it was no hard feelings because I'm always looking at what I can learn,
Yeah.
right? And, the people that I had the opportunity to meet, great people. I learned a lot from you. You had Dion and Hattie. That was my girl. That was my
Yeah.
girl.
Hmm.
That was my so I have fond memories for that season in my life. But just like I had the season in corporate America, I had the season in the federal government, and then I had the season in network marketing. It was just time to grow,
Yeah.
right? And so on the journey, I think, the key is being open to opportunities, making sure you're learning all that you can, and then you're recognizing when it is time, when it's your time to grow. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong
Yeah.
with what you are. It's just it's time for another level,
I agree.
another direction, not level per se, but just direction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just you once I think you said it, I think you said it best when you said, just continue to evolve and things kind of meet meet you where they need to for the season, right? And it's like, okay, when that season changes, okay, now it's time to make a shift. And
Mhm.
I think that's an important point. The reason I wanted to just kind of emphasize that is because sometimes people come into the industry and maybe they have an experience initially that deters them immediately, as opposed to them continuing to say, okay, well, I know what I got from this, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to take it here. And then I'm going to take it here. And I'm going to use that to keep growing, because we want people to stay in the
Yeah.
industry when we get in there, because one, we need it, right? It's like we need folks to be in this business. And it's
Yes.
important. And it's important, especially when someone's put the work in, to get to the
Yeah.
point where they can actually start. So yeah.
Right.
That
Right.
that's what I want you to really kind of hone in on. But what less I want to talk about now, kind of going into where you are now, right? Because you're working with one of the greats, for sure. Doug
Mhm.
Izzy, shout out, and how that come about, and that you gotta. I mean, I want to hear about the MDRT. Like, what did it look like? Because it seems like you had an experience. It's like you go to class, right? You had the experience. You took that class, took that class, took that class. All right, now I've graduated, and boom, I'm going to work.
Mm-hmm. You know, here's what I would say with people, just to tap into the conversation we were just having, right? Always remember why you started,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that was what kept me even through the seasons, the highs and lows, and the ebbs and flows. I always remembered why I spent the time to go take that class, to study for that test, to
Yes,
take it.
yes,
And then
right.
here's the thing. I didn't pass it the first time. I was kind of relaxed and I missed it by a couple points. I was like, oh, okay. I had to go back and take it again. Right. And so that's a plug to people. Like, you may not, even if you don't pass it that first time,
Take it
go
again.
back. I did not. My little educated self did not pass it that first time. So I met Douglas Eze, right? Some years back, because he was the type that was just in places where successful people were. And being in the DMV, just the events that we were having during the years that we were in network marketing, he would just show up and we would have some informal conversations. So he knew who I was, I knew who he was, but timing just was never on our side to do any business together. And so back in 2019, a mutual friend said, Chereace, I want you to come meet this guy who has this program that I think that you would find value in. So because of my relationship with her, I decided to go to this office, have this meeting. I go into the office, it's Douglas as they sitting at the table. I'm like, what's up? And so he proceeds to show me how to leverage life insurance to get out of debt. And I was blown away because up to that point, even though I'd been talking about cash value life insurance, focused on the index universal life as a way to build cash, I was primarily focused on it from a tax-free retirement stream of income because that's how I used it. That's how I was trained. That's what my exposure was.
Right.
I never thought about it beyond tax-free retirement stream of income. Right. So he talked about you can use the same money inside your cash value to pay off debt. And it's like there's a whole system around that. I was like, I know a whole bunch of people who are trying to get out of debt. And so it was just another tool that I was able to add to my tool belt. Yeah. And so I learned that system and I just layered it. Like it just was added on to what I was already doing, what I'd already been trained to do. It was just like more of the curtain, like another layer being pulled back on the possibility of cash value life insurance. And so we partnered up. I was like, I am in, like, I see a need for it. And I think that's the key, right? Because life insurance itself is a product, right? But when you begin to see it as a solution to solving real problems out here in our community with the people that we know that we come in contact with, right? That's what makes it purposeful. Yeah. It's purpose work for me to be able to educate people like, this is what you need. You have this problem. You're trying to get out of debt. You're trying to save for retirement. You need to know some strategy. Let's have a conversation.
Right. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. So taking that, you say, hey, I know some people, right? So we're 2019, boom, the 2020. How was your business during the 2020? Like what was your transition? Or how did you kind of maybe be flexible from a in-person to a virtual, or were you always virtual? How'd you run your business during those time frames?
Yeah, so prior to COVID, I was in person. Like COVID helped my business out.
Yes.
So much. It took it to the next level because we had to be in front of people. Like I was meeting with clients in 2019. Like I was going down my list. I had events. I would have people come out to the event. I would set appointments and we were meeting one-on-one in person. They were coming to my home. I was going to their home. We were doing paper applications. Like it's such a foreign world now. Everything is all automated.
Right.
Things have changed. It made it easier. So when we shifted to online, it just opened up more possibilities for me. I was able to reach more people. Mm-hmm. I was able to meet more people. Prior to 2020, I was only licensed in Maryland, DC, and West Virginia.
West Virginia?
Yes, I was. You know, I was in West Virginia. Yeah. Yes, I was in West Virginia. So I was in Maryland, DC, West Virginia. That was it. Now, today, I am licensed in over 35 states.
Wow.
Yeah. So COVID helped me tremendously because now, whereas 100% of my business was in person, now I would say almost 100% is virtual.
Yeah. And you can take more appointments too. You don't have travel time.
I can take more appointments. I can schedule around, my lifestyle,
Yeah,
right? I can be so flexible. I can get more done, right? Because like to your point, I don't have the travel time. So, but I am getting ready to move into the office, probably at the beginning of 2020, because I am slowly, like for my local clients,
yeah,
because I am elevating my business practice. The office is just an added benefit. And some people prefer to meet with their advisor face to
absolutely.
face. So
Exactly.
I am, yeah, yeah. So I'm going to
And
be transitioning.
you're bridging into a clientele that wants to be more hands-on, more concierge, type
Yep.
services, which, hey, look, listen, it's possible, for people out there to graduate. This is why your story is like so powerful and so compelling too, because it's like, hey, look, you can start at the beginning of this industry and you've accomplished this in a relatively short amount of time. I mean, 6 years is not a lot of time to do what you've done. You say $1 million roundtable. I mean, that's something that garners a lot of respect. When did you hit that? When did that happen for you?
So this is my second year. So 2021, I qualified and I was blown away. Like, cause I had never, let me make sure I got this is 2023. Yeah, 2021's production. And when I submitted it at the beginning of 2022, I hit the $1 million roundtable
Yo,
status.
this industry it's life changing. This is what I try to tell people. Like, yo, this is a life changing business right here. It's life changing industry. Like, not just for you, but also for the people that you affect, the people that you impact.
I
The
know.
people that you educate. Now, had you written your book? When did you write your book? When did the book come about and all this? Because you're doing a lot of work. When did you have time to write the book?
So I wrote the book in 2013.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
So when
it
you were
took,
making the transitions, you had already kind of taken control. You already took control of your future. You already knew that, and you said, "Hey,
yeah.
look, boom! Now we're gonna utilize this, empower some people, and then just continue to elevate." So I think it's time for a part two. You're gonna have to write another book now.
I got too much work on my table on my plate.
Right.
I said, no, not right now.
Yeah. So how do you so now, I mean, we're 6 years in, getting ready to go into that seventh year. You got a lot going on, very busy. How do you stay motivated day to day in your career now?
Yeah, so I'm surrounded by great people. Like I got Douglas in my ear all the time. I got our president, the president of our company in my ear all the time. So they're good reminders of like, don't settle,
That's right.
right? There's like you've done what you've done on your own, but now it's time to elevate, it's time to grow. And so now I'm focused on building a team.
Hmm.
I said I wasn't going to do, but just staying open to how things kind of evolve in your life. And so I try to have a very structured routine in terms of staying motivated, though. I try to read every day. I have my prayer time every day, and I do some motivation every day, and then I work out every day. So those are things that help me to stay connected to who I am and what I'm called to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking about purpose, right? So, you have your processes of keeping things going, but you said, "Hey, what I'm called to do." How do you feel like getting the license? How do you feel like getting into this portion, this side of the industry, has affected you or changed you, evolved you, grown you, impacted you as a person?
You know what? I think at the core, I am still who I've always been, and that is a champion for people, a servant leader,
Yeah,
someone who truly wants people to, do the best for themselves, right? I've always been like had that teacher tendency. And so whether it's teaching them how to build a business or teaching them how money works. It's just the core of who I am. And just being that champion for people to say, like, you can do it. Like, start where you are with what you have, but just get started. Right. And so that's always been the core of who I am, no matter what industry that I am, just being that person that wants the best for people. And I think that's who I am as a person. Like that's my purpose in life, to be that encourager
Yeah.
for others, be that champion for others, whether it's in the financial industry or, you know, working out. People look at
Right.
me like, you having that cake? I'm like, I do have some junk food from time to time. I know I'm very disciplined in this area,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think
No, and gotta be. So, you know, at this stage, right, you've accomplished a lot, still, and you still got a lot of career left, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, at this point, what's the dream now? You say you're building a team, so obviously you're gonna continue to keep growing, keep scaling.
Yeah.
What does the end goal look like for Chereace Richards?
Yeah, so the team, definitely in 2024 focused on building a team, and then enhancing my practice to focus on business owners, right? And so to really scale the business to where I'm full service, whether I'm actually doing all aspects of, financial planning for a client, or I'm partnering with other industry experts who are skilled in various aspects of that financial life cycle process,
Mhm.
right? Really starting to bring those subject matter experts into the fold. So if you're looking for tax planning, I got a CPA, right? If you're looking at, trusts,
Yeah,
right? Really legacy planning, I got the attorney for you, right? And so just looking at bringing on a team of experts that can walk alongside this journey with me.
I love it. I love it. So somebody who's new, they're coming into
Mm-hmm.
the business. Um, maybe they're thinking about coming into the industry. They heard something. Maybe they heard this conversation. Um, what advice, what guidance, what words would you share with them?
Oh, so just from my own personal experience, it would have to start with, connecting to your why, like getting clear about why you're getting that license. Because if you're going to do the work to get the license, you have to figure out why, because it's no small feat. Like it's no small feat to get that license. So number one, why are you getting the license? Right? Just stay committed to that, connected to that initially, and then make sure that you connect with a mentor, a coach, someone who can guide you along the way. Like you don't have to do it by yourself, but then be committed to the reason why you started, and a never quit mentality. Like no matter how hard it gets, because it's not always going to be easy.
That's right.
It may not always work the way you want it to. People are not always going to tell you yes, even though they need it. We know what they need more than they know what they need for themselves. But I think the biggest thing is committing to your why, making sure that you find a good mentor, and finding a way that you can stay motivated yourself. Like, as a coach and mentor, it's not my responsibility to drag you along the way. Like, it's a partnership, right? When I was working with Doug in the beginning, I was a student to the point where everything he was saying, I wrote down.
Yeah.
And when I started doing my own presentations, I sounded just like him.
Hmm.
That's how committed I was. I was showing up. So if you're saying yes to get your license and you get it, figure out your reason why, connect with a good mentor, and show up.
Absolutely. Listen, she dropped some gems for y'all. She gave you something you can take and actually carry your entire career. Um, Chereace, once again, listen, I think what you're doing is amazing. like to see the growth in your career and everything you have accomplished and continue to accomplish is nothing less than phenomenal and awe-inspiring. I wish you continued success and growth in the business. And I thank you for being a champion. I thank you for being an advocate in this space and just being an example that people can look at. Hey, look, if someone wants to get in contact with you, they're saying, hey, look, you know, I like what she's saying. You know, I'm trying to be down with her. I want to get on her team. I want to learn from her. How do they get in contact with you?
So first of all, Rod, I want to say thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be on your platform, allowing me to have this conversation with you. I want you to know that you've always been a mentor of mine because when we connected, you inspired me in so many ways. So you are a big part of my journey to success as well. So I want you to know that you had an impact on my career early on. And I want you to continue to do the great work that you're doing because you are a shining star, always inspiring. You know your stuff. You know your stuff. And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So if anyone wants to get in contact with me, I am easy to find on social media. I am Chereace or Chereace Richards across all social media platforms. And that is what my website is, ChereaceRichards.com. So if anybody wants to reach out, they can send me a DM on any social media platform, or there's an opportunity to schedule a meeting on my calendar from my website. So I look forward to having conversations. If anybody have a question about anything and I can answer it, feel free to reach out.
Hey, listen, you heard it. She dropped the info. We'll have it, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the information in the description. You know, make sure you click the like and subscribe as well. But you'll see the information in the subscription. If you are listening to this on one of the platforms where you stream, you will also see Chereace's contact information in the description as well. Get in contact with her. Guarantee you'll be in good hands. She is going to make sure that you're taken care of. Whether you are looking to get into the business or you're a client, you know, looking to get some information, and you just like the way that she communicates, because she definitely knows her stuff as well. And maybe you heard something that inspired you, motivated you, moved you, that made you think to yourself, you should get a license. Until the next time, peace.